No.
Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm gonna show you how to make techno like Nico Moreno. So let's first see what makes a Nico Moreno track.
No.
Let's see first the kick. So this time I only used one layer. I kept the thing pretty simple. Of course I used already processed sample, so it's already a hard kick. Maybe I can show you later in another tutorial how to make this kind of kick. But you see already we have the distorted part, but we also have like a huge sine wave, something very clean. So to make this kind of wave, it's basically a saw waves, and you can see like the harmonics. So you see all of these harmonics, and we have a distorted punch. So I started from this this sample, and I use my usual go-to rack. So first I wanted to distort the thing a bit more, because you know, why not? So to give it more grit, to have something more clear and a bit more highs. And what I use is like a homemade multi-band distortion with the overdrive. So I made this audio effect rack, and I put some overdrive with the 3 layers, so some lows, mid and highs and mid. And I just played with the dynamics and the dry wet to have something that pleased me. So here it's really subtle, but I get a bit more low mids. Then I wanted to enhance a bit the punch and just get more distortion. Especially here you have some grit and noise. So you see, it cuts through a bit more. And then I have my usual go-to rumble rack. So I just have my dry layer of the kick signal and the rumble part. So really gets me the drive of the kick. And this is the same thing as usual. So I have the side chain that I do with the shaper. So this is also this. Everything goes through the reverb. So 100% reverb, very low size, to have something narrow and compressed, and decay larger than 2 or 3 seconds to have the full length. And then I distort it. So I use the bass mode, but you can use any kind of mode of the amp to get different grits and saturation. And you do this with several layers. So saturation just before you cut out the high frequencies, but also after. So you see here, it gives and then there's just a bit of EQ. So just boost a bit the lows to get the punch. Here I was a bit in the red, so I had to reduce my gain. And also I have my limiter that does the job, because it's like clip limiting. So I don't want to go too far in the red, and it can compress even more my kick. And then I use my spectrum to get the note that I keep for after. On this, I just wanted a bit more ambience on my kick, so I used just another layer, and pretty simple, it's just an impact. It's just to bring a bit more that mid reverb that I was lacking. So it really gives more ambience and a bit more drive. So basically it's just an impact. Just try different impacts. Withdraw, of course, the lows. You don't want to mess up the bass from the kick. And then you can sidechain or either keep it if you want more transient on your kick. Here I just wanted to keep the distortion and not have too much highs in the impact and transient. And you can even play with the pitch here to get different ambience. Until you get something that you like. On top of this, as usual for the hard techno style, I have my snare. So here it's about choosing the right sample and something very clean, not so much processing. So here I just wanted a bit more mids and noise. So as usual I get to use my overdrive. And then I use the compressor from the drum bus with the transient here. And then it slaps. And this is my kick. There you go. So then at the end of the track, I use a Psy Bass. This gets me for the second part of the track and to get more groove on the kick. Here I just use a sample. So of course I have to choose a sample that is in key, in the key of the kick. So it was G here. Make sure to sidechain because you don't want to mess up the punch of the kick. And here you will see this is the rack that I used along the track for every channel. This is a mix of a bit of saturation, lots of reverb, and lots of delay. And this is really giving me the space of the track, and I will use this space in the whole track. And you'll see like the difference with and without. So here it's the bass, so it's quite subtle, and really make sure to sidechain the thing. But you'll see after on the drums, this really gives you lots of space. If you want to know how to make this kind of Psy Bass, I made a tutorial on the Sarah Landry style, and I explain how I do it in Serum from zero. Next we have our drums. So for this, the key elements are, of course, we have big open hats. Open hats and hi-hats are usually taken from drum machines like 909 or 808, so for the Moreno style. So here I just kept the 909 basic open hat from Ableton, and you see I will use basically the same processing for each drums. So I just want to add a bit more saturation on all of this because this is art techno, but I keep it pretty clean because usually in these Nico Moreno tracks we still have the resonances from these open hats, and these are really put forward in the track. So here I just have a nasty high that I wanted to put out. Here I add my saturation, and then I compress, use my compressor that's built in the drum bus. And then I thought, okay, there's a bit more, too much mid, and I want to keep the mids for the rest of the channels. I do the same for the hi-hats. Here it's also a 909 closed hat. And you see this kind of the same processing, so here's the basic thing. In terms of pattern, to get a bit more drive, I use this pattern. So high, low, high, low, high, low in terms of velocity. I added a bit noise just to smooth the sample. Also, I used here the decay because I didn't want to get the full sample. It was too noisy for the style. I just wanted to keep the transient, and I make it move through the track just a bit to get a bit more movement, like this. Then saturation, compression, and the room. So here I had a nasty resonancy, so I withdraw it, and also I put out the mids. And finally I have my clap that will play also with the kick and the snare. So same thing, 909 clap, bit of EQ, saturation, bit of amp also, and then my room. So a bit of reverb. So I keep it dry because I don't want to mess things up, but I want still a long reverb to get a big room and ambience. And also a bit of delay, and then my compression and sidechain. I also have my ride here. This is a 808 ride. So same thing, bit of vocoder to smoothen the sample and get some noise. I put out the resonances that are quite nasty. Distortion, compression, and my room. And a bit of EQ because there was more resonances. And so to have everything glued together and to have something coherent for my drums, I group the whole thing, and I have also a bit of processing. So you see, it was still like mild drums, a bit too weak. So I wanted to add back the mids. So you see sometimes when you work on the track, you can take decisions and go back. So here I just put back some mids. So, and to really get this drive with the drums and the kick, I used a glue compressor, and you'll see. Also a little trick, if you don't know this, to sidechain better and be more precise. I use the sidechain with a specific channel here that's called sidechain, and it's just a click. It's just like a very small transient, just to trigger the sidechain. You can do this with any kind of sound for which you take the sidechain. So, for instance, if I take any kind of kick, you just do this. Take your kick. You take only the transient. So if you freeze and delete, you get your transient. And you can even be more precise if you keep only the highs. There you go. And you could put it to the maximum. And then you can trigger it more precisely. And then I have a bit more ambience on these drums. So a bit more delay. And that's it for the drums. So then I have vocals. So really important, the style of Nico Moreno. Catchy words and really sharp and short vocals.
No.
So to get the industrial hard techno vibe, you need distortion. So that's why I use the amp with pretty harsh wet mode. And then I have to put it in the same room as the rest.
No. No.
So I use the same rack that I used. So saturation, reverb, delay, and same thing. Even more reverb, especially long decay to get that big room.
No. No.
So you see, it's really the reverb that makes the effect. And I have a bit more reverb and delay to get some more highs, crispy reverb. Of course, you get a sidechain, especially with lots of reverb and delay, not to clash with the kick. And so you can disseminate these kind of vocals, especially before the drop. So I think I found like 3 words vocal that were that fits well with the track, and especially before the drop. So for instance, this command before getting the drive. Here this vocal just to introduce here the break. So then I have my leads. So in terms of leads, of course, as you noticed, in this Nico Moreno style, you have lots of, you have a big room, you have lots of noise, and something that's really, really big, that gives you lots of space, and that's very compressed. And especially this is either screeches or alarms or any kind of short distorted note. And also resonances. So I will show you first how I did this thing. So I kept, basically you can take any sound, but here I kept my snare from the kick group. And you put some resonances here with the auto filter or an EQ. To know what kind of resonances you want to get something that's in key, because this will resonate, and this is a kind of harmonics. So here I have my kick that's in G. So I checked in the spectrum or in the EQ the note G, So it's either here 400 Hertz, but if I take an octave above, this is 775 or something like this. If you want to take the octave above, you can take 1 kilohertz and 570 hertz. So you can do this along the way of the spectrum, the frequency spectrum, and then you make your resonancy. So you see here it's just some noise hat, but I put my resonancy here for having G4, and then I distort it. So here it's just a kind of sine wave, but here I get the noise and the distortion from the 2 amps. Really try to put different amps, different distortion. You get some different colors and saturation until you get what you want. And then everything that's after is just to put it in the same room as the rest. So you have the same reverb as the previous channel. And here I just cleaned things up because since there's lots of distortion and reverb, you have some messy low frequencies that are useless. Basically, it's just useless noise. And so this is how I made this. And I make a little variation here by taking the octave that's below, so 400 Hertz. But this is exactly the same channel. And this is like a call and answer. And I play with these notes along the track. So sometimes I put them, sometimes I withdraw. Here I make a variation and I use the third of the scale. So in my G scale, minor scale, I just put here 950 Hertz, and that's basically 3 semitones above in the minor scale. And this is the same note, but 1 octave above from this one. So same recipe as these 2 tracks. And that makes a variation here, a kind of bridge before I bring something new. And this is the second part of the track where I bring the drive with the Psy Bass and some new noises. So this is it for this resonances note. But I have other big notes, and this is basically some kind of alarm. So we have this one. So in terms of pattern, this is just a single note, so a G note. Sometimes it's an octave or 2 above. And I have this little trick that I show you in a previous video to make the filter, the envelope, the pitch envelope move along the way. So here it's just going down. Here it's going down and then up. So that's how you get an alarm sound. And to do this, so the sound source is something pretty simple. So it's the init preset. So just this basic saw wave. To make it big, of course I use unison, but I still want to keep things pretty in the middle because I want it to work on mono. And there's also saturation, of course, to make things noisy, big, distorted. And I have also a trash. And then same thing. So I have sidechain, bit of distortion, and my room with the double reverb and delay. And then my sidechain again because I want it after all of this. So maybe I have a bit too much reverb and delay. Something could be cleaned up a bit, but this is how I made it along the way. And I have also this variation. So this is the same sound source. You see, it's just that I kept something very short to have this little screech or very short note. I use the arpeggiator to make things move. Actually, I didn't use it in the end. So you see here, in terms of pattern, I have these two notes, then a bit of variation, also a slight variation in the velocity. I use the same pattern here because you want some repetition, but here I have a variation. So this is kind of anticipating what comes next. And for instance, here I add a note here. So it keeps the thing entertaining and not so loopy. But this is the same processing, same sound source. So it's really important to keep the same sound sample and source because you will get more coherent in your track. And this is usually good ways to get new ideas that fits to the track. So here I have something long that comes at the drop. But here I wanted some short notes. And here I have also something different, something long, but that's also moving. So here, to keep things simple, I just selected a sample that was good for the track. I put it in the right pitch and an octave below. And this is also kind of alarm variation. And you see I have the same processing, so distortion, reverb and delay. This is the same, I just copy pasted, and some sidechain. And finally, I just have this sweep that introduces sometimes my alarm drop channel. So to do this kind of a sweep, I take whatever sound from the track. So here I took my alarm, I record it, so just a small note. You can keep this. You put a big reverb on it. 100%, something like 6 seconds. You freeze and replace. And there you go. You have your sweep. You cut it. You cut it. And there you go. And if you want to smoothen the thing, you can add another reverb and freeze again, and you have something that's even more smooth. So if I show you like this. So that's it for the elements. And so in terms of arrangement, I start basic with only the kick. I add my drums element and I introduce just a bit of what will come after, but you know, in a mild way, just with these two kind of alarm. Then I have my small break. So to introduce it, I use I think I used here with the drums a bit of reverb. So I use Endless Smile, but it's actually the same thing as just a reverb and delay. You can use also return channels. This is what I made here. And on my return channel, I add just a big long reverb. Actually, I could add a sidechain on this one. And then I have my drop. So kind of build the tension with the vocals.
No.
Big long reverb, a bit of pause just before, and then hard on the drop. You see here I have this vocal just to introduce the drums and the snare. Also the snare really to push things through, to have even more harder kick. Then I build the tension with the sweep that comes with the next phase, and also just a bit of I withdraw the kick just before the drop, and I have really something new quite quickly. So especially in this style, this is quite important to not feel too loopy. This is not raw techno. It's almost hardcore, and to have this variation. You see, this is my lead just for these A16 bars. Then I have really something new with the alarm drop for 16 bars. Here I keep it, but with even more intensity with the drums, but really like not so long. And here already I prepare something new and something else by putting the auto filter. I prepare already something else. Here you have the variation with the third note, different resonances, and already I keep and prepare another variation here with a kind of break with the auto filter, and I build the tension again with the vocals, and already something new with the Psy Bass. And of course, along the way of the track, you can use these return channels for your transitions. You can use the vocal, you know, I could put here another vocal, I can use this sweep, you know, these different kind of variations. But the thing is really to have something that's smooth, that's moving every 16 bars, to have a quick variation to make the surprise for the audience. And really like keep things simple. I have not so much channels here. You see, I have my kick, I have a few drums, and really like one or two lead that plays at the same time. But there's like nowhere in the track where I have more than 4 or 5 channels almost. So you have to keep things very effective and very big. So that's why also this reverb is important, because it brings every frequency along with the kick. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much for the support. Let me know what you think in the comments of this video, and see you in the next one.